Russia is moving military equipment including missile systems towards its border with Finland. Footage appears to show defense missiles being driven along a road that leads to Finnish capital Helsinki. Additionally, Russia warned of nuclear deployment if these countries join NATO. Russia has sent at least 2 K300P Bastion P mobile coastal defense missile systems near its border with Finland. The news was first spread by the British media organ Daily Mail, which distributed a video of the spotted missile technology heading to the border with Finland. The move came after Dmitry Medvedev said that should Sweden and Finland join NATO, then Russia would have to strengthen its land, naval and air forces in the Baltic Sea. He said, "There can be no more talk of any nuclear-free status for the region, and the balance must be restored." The apparent escalation comes after Moscow warned Finland against joining NATO, with the traditionally neutral country saying it was considering applying to join the bloc. Given Vladimir Putin's decision to invade Ukraine was largely linked to its ambitions to join NATO, Russia's move to bring arms closer to its border with Finland could be a significant move. Finland is preparing for a potentially historic decision before midsummer on whether to apply to join NATO as a deterrent against Russian aggression. The Nordic nation of 5.5 million has traditionally been militarily non-aligned, in part to avoid provoking its eastern neighbor, with which it shares a 1,300-kilometer border. But Russia's invasion of Ukraine on February 24 saw public support for joining NATO double from 30 to 60%, according to a series of polls. Former Finnish Prime Minister Alexander Stubb said, "Never underestimate the capacity of Finns to take rapid decisions when the world changes." Himself a longtime NATO advocate, Stubb now believes Finland making a membership application is a foregone conclusion as Finns re-evaluate their relationship with their neighbor. A government-commissioned national security review will be delivered to Parliament to help Finnish members of Parliament make up their own minds before it is put to a vote. Prime Minister Sanna Marin said, "We will have very careful discussions, but not taking any more time than we have to. I think we will end the discussion before midsummer. My guess is that the application will be filed sometime during May." Professor Tommi Koivula said that threatening Finland with nuclear weapons and other missiles would be a much more difficult prospect if Finland were a member of NATO. He said, "No physical structures would be built on Finnish territory, but Finnish airspace surveillance and management networks would be integrated into NATO's air operations management system. In that case, anti-aircraft missiles from allies could, if necessary, operate in Finnish airspace." Russia has already said it would take Finnish NATO membership into its military planning. According to Professor Koivula, this may list Finland as a target in Russian missile systems. He said NATO membership would not alter Finland's existing defense system, particularly conscription. Instead of being an alternative to conscription, nuclear deterrence would be another layer within Finland's defense apparatus. While NATO does not have any nuclear weapons of its own, its member states France, the United Kingdom, and the United States possess their own nuclear arsenals.
Но в чем угроза для нас? В том, что даже появление тактического ядерного оружия на Украине для нас означает стратегическую угрозу. Вот что мы должны иметь в виду, потому что значит, от 110 можно поднять дальность до, не знаю, до 300, до 500, ну и все, и Москва будет в зоне поражения.
Hostilities ended in a peace deal that saw Finland ceding several border areas to the Soviet Union. Finnish leaders agreed to remain neutral during the Cold War in exchange for guarantees from Moscow that it would not invade. The country's forced neutrality to appease its stronger neighbor coined the term Finlandization. Finland has remained outside the transatlantic military alliance, and despite some cuts after the Cold War, it has focused on maintaining well-funded defense and preparedness capabilities. Former Prime Minister Stubb said, "We're able to mobilize 280,000 to 300,000 men and women within a matter of days," adding that 900,000 reserves could also be called up. Last week, Finland's government agreed a 40% hike in defense spending by 2026 to further strengthen the country's position. Centre Party member Jonas Kanta said, "We have walked a long way when it comes to our security policies, and they have worked so far." Like the majority of his parliamentary colleagues, he used to think that NATO membership was something that we don't need at the moment. But Russia's invasion changed something in Europe in a way that can't be changed back, he told media, and recently announced that he now believes it is time to seek to join the alliance. A number of politicians have also recently announced similar changes of heart regarding Finland's NATO question, although many more are keeping their positions to themselves awaiting more detailed discussions. Only 6 of Finland's 200 members of parliament in a recent poll by public broadcaster media openly voiced anti-NATO views, including Markus Mustajärvi from the Left Alliance Party. He said, Finland and Sweden's non-alignment has brought stability to the whole of Northern Europe. Mustajärvi questions whether NATO's Article 5 commitment to mutual defense would provide genuine protection in case of an attack. Instead, he cites Finland's own defense capabilities, which are so strong that they would force Russia to think what price it would pay for attacking. Along with neighboring Sweden, Finland has received public assurances from Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg that the alliance's door remains open, as well as expressions of support from numerous members including the US, UK, Germany, France and Turkey. But attempting to join NATO would likely be seen as a provocation by the Kremlin, for whom the expansion of the US-led alliance on its borders has been a prime security grievance. Finland's President Sauli Niinistö has warned that Russia's response could be on the brash side, including airspace, territorial violations and hybrid attacks. The Kremlin has pledged to rebalance the situation in the event of Finland joining NATO. Meanwhile, Foreign Minister Pekka Haavisto has acknowledged that Russia could seek to destabilize a membership bid during the gray zone between an application and its ratification by all 30 NATO states, which could take 4 months to a year. Taking the lead on the matter, Finland is now energetically stepping forward, sparing Sweden the trouble of having to break the ice on NATO matters. It's even absorbing the much-feared Russian blow that has so far included not just threats, but cyber attacks against its foreign and defense ministries. Russia is, of course, doing its part by demonstrating to all and sundry that it's not a country with which one can expect good faith relations. As Marin observed this month, Russia is not the neighbor we thought it was. Finland would look like a country that has made a wise decision for the benefit of its security, a decision based on an acutely changing set of circumstances. Sweden would be able to join the alliance almost surreptitiously, having had to do virtually none of the hard political work. To date, all that Sweden has done is state that it's open to considering NATO membership, while the governing Social Democrats have decided to conduct a security review. In his speech to the Finland parliament, Ukrainian President Zelensky said, "You have already seen in your history the cruelty and absurdity of the invasion of Russia. Let's be honest, the threat remains. Everything must be done to prevent this from happening again. Russia's war against Ukraine is now deciding not only the fate of our state, not only the fate of our people, but the fate of all those who have a common border with Russia. Like you 83 years ago, Ukraine has the courage to defend itself against the enemy whose forces far outnumber them. There are just a lot of them, in quantitative terms. They have a lot of equipment and a lot of missiles. A lot of people who can be thrown into the war. And a lot of dollars and euros earned from oil trade that are then spent on propaganda of aggression. But just as your courage saved your country from Stalin's invasion, our courage resists this invasion. But much remains to be done to win."
Thank you very much.